I said to Nicole I had forgotten that we had that somewhat challenging virtual connection, but so good to be here in person. And I thank Nicole already for the weather. What a stunning day to be here in Morristown. So, Nicole, thank you for that introduction, and thank you for your passion and everything that's going on here in Morristown. Deputy Mayor Sue Mamarella as well, and the rest of council. It is an honor to be in his backyard, Congressman Andy Kim. I said, Andy, I think you could walk here this morning, and I believe you may have. My colleague and partner in government, the one and only, the singular Lieutenant Governor, and the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, importantly today, Sheila Y. Oliver. Melanie Walter to her left, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. Terry Tucker's in the house to Melanie's left. And I know he wanted to be here today. Please keep Troy Singleton and his family in your prayers. His grandmother passed over the weekend, so Troy wanted to be with us today. Alex Staropoli, did I get the last name right? How did I do, Alex? I passed, the Director of Advocacy and Communications at the Fair Share Housing Center, and to all of your colleagues at Fair Share. I extend also my condolences on the passing of the former board chair, Kelly Francis, whose funeral I think maybe is today, I believe, right? God rest his soul. We got Rudy Alberts and his colleagues here representing the Pennsylvania Real Estate Trust, which owns this mall. Reva Foster's in the house. Jeff Nash, the aforementioned Camden County Commissioner who I've lost here, is in the back, is in the house, and so many other important dignitaries. It's an honor to be here. So for the past nearly 50 years, New Jersey has been engaged in a broad effort to ensure that every family, no matter their circumstance, can find an affordable place to live in a community in which they want to live. This constitutional obligation, and perhaps just as importantly, moral obligation. Stacy, is that you? Stacy Berger's here. I didn't see you, Stacy. I'm sorry. Was upheld by the New Jersey Supreme Court in 1975, and it still rings true today. But the fact is that even a half century on, this obligation to all of our state's residents has yet to be completely fulfilled. It's been a long road, but towns across the state are stepping up and doing their part to meet this obligation. And Morristown, Nicole, stands out as a great example of that. But in many communities, including right here, as Nicole mentioned, this effort hasn't been completely fulfilled because the funds needed to support the creation of new affordable housing units haven't been available to realize the goals and needs of developers, local officials, or the prospective residents, most importantly, who would benefit most from the creation of new housing. This funding gap has led to a current backlog of 43 new 100% affordable housing developments in 34 communities across 14 counties, all projects that are already approved but still yet to be built, accounting for over 3,300 new affordable units. These projects together would provide nearly 1,700 new homes for families, more than 1,100 for senior citizens, and nearly 550 for those who need greater community supports, including the developmentally or differently abled and survivors of domestic abuse, among others. These homes are waiting impatiently in the wings. I say, Sheila joins me, saying, let's build them. The budget I proposed aims to eliminate in its entirety this backlog and get every single one of these units at the least built within the next 4 years. This backlog does not represent our entire need or obligation, but clearing it is a huge and critical step in the right direction. So the state is stepping up with our new Affordable Housing Production Fund, which would put $305 million from the Federal State Fiscal Recovery Fund toward clearing the pipeline of these already approved and in some cases shovel-ready projects. And by the way, the state is putting alongside that another $30 million of our own money. So for the federal money in particular, we would not be at this point if not for the efforts of this guy right here, Congressman Andy Kim, who's been an incredible passionate advocate for affordable housing, and his colleagues who fought tirelessly to ensure the American Rescue Plan contained substantial funds for states to direct to where it was most needed. So thank you, Andy. And further, it would allow us to free up other existing state funds to do even more. We could devote resources to more low-income and special needs housing, and critically to building and preserving more affordable housing in our urban areas. When everything is put together, we will be able to supercharge the production of sorely needed affordable housing statewide, hopefully reaching 10,000 new affordable homes within the next 3 years. Certainly the greatest significance of this effort is in creating the affordable homes we need to truly turn New Jersey into the state of opportunity for literally thousands of individuals and families. But it also means so much more. For mayors and residents, it means certainty and predictability. It means finally implementing long-stalled plans and short-circuiting potential lawsuits. It means moving forward alongside the developers with whom they have worked on these plans in good faith, ensuring that projects don't just fulfill a need, but also fit into the fabric of the community. Even more, it will mean the creation of thousands of good new construction jobs all across our state. And it provides a forceful response to those certain vocal residents who have fought against their own community's efforts to do the right thing by fear-mongering and by spreading disinformation rooted in shameful and baseless us versus them arguments. As I also noted in my budget address a few weeks ago, let's not lose sight of who overwhelmingly benefits when we build more affordable housing, and it bears repeating. It's both the young couple wanting to start their family's journey in a tight-knit community, and at the same time the senior who wants to stay and live out their retirement in dignity. It's the educator or the first responder starting their career and wanting to find a place to live within the community they serve. And it's the server at the local diner and the cashier at the grocery store who have been boxed out by increasing rents and housing prices. This is about more than just fulfilling a constitutional and moral obligation that has hung over our state for 50 years and which went unanswered by prior administrations. This is about fulfilling the hard work of municipal leaders, developers, and residents in showing that access to affordable housing will make a community more inviting and a community that is stronger. This is about moving forward to a more affordable future for our state and our residents. Thank you again to Morristown. Nicole, beginning with you as the mayor, for hosting us so graciously this morning. It is now my honor to introduce a champion for all of our communities, my partner in government, the Commissioner of the Department of Community Affairs, and our Lieutenant Governor Sheila Y. Oliver.
Thank you.
God bless.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. One of my favorite places to be has always been in a mall. So I want to thank Mayor Gillespie and everyone who helped plan this event that we are here. But what's most important about being at this location is what it will be and become. Town centers are the trend in development in our state and all around the country. And as the mayor described what will be here because of this announcement that we're making today, I could not be more excited. Between fully funding the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the first time in over a decade, to the unprecedented proposed investment in creating more affordable housing opportunities for New Jerseyans, the governor is constructing a model for our state that can be replicated actually in states across the country. And when I think about being in Burlington County, many of you know I spent some time in the state legislature. And Jeff Nash, I'll tell you, you're a trooper. Jeff Nash has been working in the county for so long. But often the counties of the southern part of the state think that your state government in Trenton doesn't think about you. I think that Congressman Andy Kim has made it very clear to all of his constituents that he prioritizes the needs of people throughout his 3rd legislative district. And Congressman Kim, I am very, very happy that you were a proud, ardent supporter of the American Rescue Plan, because we wouldn't be able to make this announcement today if it were not for ARP. So thank you very much. And we all know that the cost of housing throughout our state is something that all New Jersey families must contend with. And Governor Murphy has prioritized, and he has supported myself, the other professionals at DCA, the advocates, Melanie Walter over at the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, and Leslie Anderson over at the New Jersey Redevelopment Authority, to make certain that we are able to up and boost housing production in New Jersey. I am very proud to say that if we align all of our models in place, by the end of the Murphy administration, we will have produced 10,000 new affordable housing units in this state. And I'm so glad that Governor Murphy made mention of who needs affordable housing. I think what got us hung up for so many years, when there was such resistance to the creation of affordable housing, people had an image of who this housing is for. I am so glad that the governor explained affordable housing is what we used to call workforce housing. The people who worked in local businesses in a community, such as what the governor described. Our healthcare professionals. I think about our teacher aides. I think about our teachers. I think about young people starting their careers out. The millennials. If you go all across the state to some of the new affordable housing developments, you'll find our young people who have just gotten out of college, starting out a life, starting work. They also need affordable housing. And I think that Melanie, the happiest day of her life was the day the governor introduced his budget. I had never, ever seen our HMFA professionals be so excited, because this is something that they have waited for a very long time. This is an opportunity, and I like, Governor, when you came up with the concept for the second term, that New Jersey is the opportunity state. New Jersey is the opportunity state. We have something for everyone in this state. We have the geography, the topography. You want shore, you want mountain. We have it all. And now, because of this initiative and the governor's commitment through this budget, we will now be able to provide 10,000 additional households with affordable housing in the state of New Jersey. Thank you, Governor.
I had not realized that I had made Melanie's life, but I'm very, I got to compare notes with your mom, Lucy, who is a dear friend of mine as well. So, Sheila, thank you. You know, one of the things that I didn't address, but bears repeating, is that it's no secret that New Jersey is a high-cost state, and it's a high-cost housing state, and we do so much, Sheila and I and our colleagues, to make this state as affordable as we can. We had 14 middle class and senior tax cuts in our first term. We put a huge property tax relief program into the budget proposal. But what was already an expensive state to live in, notwithstanding all of our efforts, I don't have to tell folks here in Burlington County, because it's the case in virtually every county in the state, people are tripping over themselves to move into this state, particularly post-COVID. Probably a bit more acute in the north, coming out of New York City, than it is out of Philly in the south, but the reality is true up and down the state. I say that because the need to put a program of this sort of scale in place is needed now more than ever. And so, Sheila, thank you for your leadership on so many other fronts, including this one. Sheila mentioned him. I mentioned him. We wouldn't be here today if we didn't have the federal money to backstop the state funds that we're putting forward to solve our affordable housing challenge. Andy Kim has been at the front of the line in fighting for that federal money and for so much else. He's an extraordinary representative. I need not tell folks who are in his 3rd congressional district, including right here. But it's an incredible honor always to stand with him. Please help me welcome Congressman Andy Kim.
Good to see everyone. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for choosing to do this here in my hometown. This is my town. This is where I'm raising my kids, raising my family. When I told my wife that I was coming to a press conference, she asked where it was. I told her, it's right here where the old Mr. Tire used to be. She reminded me to pick up a gallon of milk on my way back from the shop right down the street. So I'm glad I can run some errands here for her too. But look, there's a reason why my wife and I chose this town. There was a reason why we wanted to stay in the same community, in the same area where I grew up. And it's because of those opportunities that the governor and the lieutenant governor and others are fighting for. And it's about not just where we are as a community right now, but about where we want to be going. With this job that I have right now, so much of it is about just the nuts and bolts of keeping the lights on and trying to get us through this time. And these are tough times, don't get me wrong. We had a couple months ago a housing fair here in Burlington County, asking folks to come if they have trouble, if they have needs. We pulled together a lot of nonprofits, a lot of NGOs and other organizations, some of them in the crowd right here, to have a one-stop shop where people can come, and if they need legal advice, if they need to have other types of advocacy or other types of support, they could come. We weren't sure how many folks were going to come, but we had hundreds of families. In fact, we had to do the talk twice because we couldn't even get enough people into the room the first time around. It was a real eye-opener of just how tough things are right now. Just how many struggles that New Jersey families and families across this country are having right now. We know that a lot of families have struggled through this pandemic. We're going to come out of this pandemic with even greater inequality in our nation than we had going into this pandemic. But what we also know is the challenges when it comes to housing and affordable housing in particular didn't just start 2 years ago. The efforts that we're trying to do isn't just to just take the clock back to March of 2020. What we're trying to do is push forward and recognize that we have an opportunity here to not just recover, not just rebuild, but to be able to push ourselves forward with a new vision for what New Jersey, what this community was going to look like. And as a father of a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, that's exactly the kind of leadership and the kind of support that I want to see. What I want to know is, what does this community look like, not just tomorrow or next month or next year, but 20, 30 years from now when my kids are my age. I want to know what kind of community they're going to inherit, what kind of community they're going to be thinking about as they're thinking about where to raise their kids. That's what this investment is. And I have to say, this is one of the most tangible examples in my own mind of the work that I've done in Congress, to see how it works and delivers, and also in how it partners with the state, with the counties, with the local governments to be able to get that done. This vision that I have here in South Jersey, it's one that's shared by the mayor, shared by Jeff Nash, and other champions that have worked so hard for years to try to realize this. Now look, what we're talking about today, it's not going to solve all of our problems. This is not some panacea that means that now we're done and we can move on to the next big thing. It requires constant work and constant vigilance. But the steps that we're taking today gives us a real shot at being able to help the lives of thousands of people that reach out to my office, to the state and others, asking for help through these tough times. I'm proud to be a part of this and grateful to have great champions like the governor, lieutenant governor, mayor, and others here who've been working alongside to do this. So let's get this done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. Thanks, everyone.
Andy, thank you for everything. And don't forget the gallon of milk. I mentioned Alex Staropoli, who was with us and is going to be our last person up to bat representing Fair Share Housing. I don't think, Sheila, you may disagree, but I'll bet you won't. I don't think there's a more landmark decision in any state, such as the Mount Laurel reality of so many years ago, right down the road from here, from which the passion and the actual entity itself, Fair Share Housing, was born from that awful, awful moment. And today is a huge day in the journey to get things right again in our state. I shouldn't say again, to get things right in our state once and for all. So Alex, come on down, representing Fair Share Housing. Great to have you. Thank you for being here.
Yep. Good morning. Thank you, Governor Murphy, Congressman Kim, Mayor Gillespie, for your leadership on this important issue and for the opportunity to be here today. As we've already heard this morning, all New Jerseyans deserve a safe, healthy, and affordable place to call home. Where one lives is inextricably connected to educational outcomes, economic opportunity, and health and well-being. The COVID-19 pandemic made this even more clear. Unfortunately, we still have a substantial shortage of affordable homes in our state, but this $300 million investment will help accelerate development to address that gap. Choosing to target this historic investment in already approved projects from Mount Laurel settlements is also significant, especially given our location today. Over 50 years ago, just down the street from here, residents from the historic Black community of Mount Laurel organized to protest town policies that were designed to push out and prevent low-income people and people of color from living there. The collective power of that local community ultimately resulted in the landmark civil rights case known as the Mount Laurel Doctrine. The doctrine prevents exclusionary zoning and requires all towns in New Jersey to provide their fair share of their region's affordable homes. To date, Fair Share Housing Center has settled more than 300 cases under the Mount Laurel Doctrine. We estimate that approximately 50,000 new affordable homes will be built as a result of those settlements across New Jersey. As we heard from the mayor, the redevelopment of this very mall to include affordable housing was part of our settlement with the town. Because of the Mount Laurel Doctrine, New Jersey has one of the strongest frameworks to protect affordable housing in the country. It's also fitting that we're gathered here today on the 54th anniversary of the signing of the Federal Fair Housing Act. Building housing is only the first step to ensuring access. And far too often, low-income communities and communities of color in our state still face housing discrimination. We must remain steadfast in our fight to dismantle structural barriers that get in the way of people obtaining homes. To that end, last year, thanks to the leadership of Governor Murphy and Senator Singleton, New Jersey passed the Fair Chance and Housing Act, the first statewide law of its kind in the country. It protects individuals with prior criminal legal system involvement from housing discrimination in the rental market. It's these types of policies that we must continue to advance alongside investments in affordable housing development. As we work together to build a more equitable New Jersey, creating more integrated and inclusive communities must be at the top of that list, just like the residents of Mount Laurel recognized all those years ago. Thank you again to Governor Murphy for this historic proposal. We look forward to working with the administration and the legislature to get it across the finish line and closer to our shared vision of a thriving, inclusive New Jersey. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Alex. You know, when folks talk about Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, I think they hit civil rights and voting rights more often than they hit housing rights, and it's a good reminder on this extraordinarily 54-year anniversary. And by the way, Sheila, you and I were proud to stand together on Juneteenth last year, as Alex mentioned, to sign that ban the box, is what I call it, on housing, which is a huge step forward. So as they say in Hollywood, it's a wrap. On behalf of the mayor, the lieutenant governor, the congressman, Alex, myself, and everybody else here, thank you all so much for coming out today. Thank you for joining us in this huge step forward on affordable housing. And Nicole, thank you for hosting us so graciously. Thank you, everybody.